My husband and I have had 2 children. We are really struggling with our intimacy, and I think the shame is connected to me kind of feeling like our lack of connection and intimacy is just a failure.
Who told you it was a failure?
So many people, parents, teachers, former therapists, friends.
What in the world is going on? This is John with the Dr. John Delony Show. I'm so grateful that you're here. Talking about pretty much anything going on in your life, your relationships, your mental health, your emotional health. For 20 years, I've been sitting with people who thought their life was going to go one way, and now it's going a totally different direction. And those moments are hard. They're hard to navigate. The what do we do now moments. After you have kids, after you get married, after you get divorced, after you break up, after you find out somebody hurt you, what do you do now? And that's what this show is about. If you want to be here, it's real people talking about real challenges. I'd love to have you on the show. Give me a buzz at 1-844-693-3291. It's 1-844-693-3291, or you can go to johndelony.com/ask and write in what's going on. Or if you call in, leave a message, and Kelly and the team will go through the calls and they create the show, and hopefully they'll pick you. We do get calls from all over planet Earth, and we get tons and tons and tons and tons of them. But I want to hear from you all. johndelony.com/ask. And real quick, please just take a second and hit the subscribe button. It makes such a powerful difference. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit subscribe. If you are watching this or listening to this on some sort of podcast platform, leave a 5-star review just to say amazing, right? Or just say awesome, or just say like, guy doesn't complete sentences all the way, but it's still pretty good. Whatever it is, hit the download button. But all of those little digital thank yous make such a big difference. Kicks the show up in the algorithm, and it puts it in front of that many more people. Super grateful for you, everybody who listens. And the growth of the show continues to just astound us all as we sit in these meetings. But it's because of y'all. And I'm so grateful you're riding with us. All right, let's go out to Denver, Colorado, and talk to Brittany. What's up, Brittany?
Hey, Dr. John, thank you so much for taking my phone call today. I really appreciate it.
I'm grateful that you called. What's going on?
So my husband and I have had 2 children, and we are really struggling with our intimacy, and I'm calling in to get some advice and guidance as to how we can get that back and rebuild our connection.
I can hear it in your voice. Is this a scary call to make?
Incredibly scary.
I'm proud of you. Thank you for your trust.
Thank you.
Okay,
I
so
felt so much shame.
Yeah, I got you. Tell me about the shame. Tell me about it.
My oldest is 2.5 at the end of the month, and we also have an 8-month-old. So we are really in the core of the little kid years, all the struggles, the trials, the tribulations that come along with that. And I think the shame is connected to me kind of feeling like our lack of connection and intimacy is just a failure of our marriage. And it hurts. And
who told you it was a failure?
So many people.
Yeah.
It's kind of been the carousel that plays in my head. Parents, teachers, former therapists, friends. Just it's kind of been an overarching theme throughout my life.
That you're a failure?
Yes.
Are you a good mom?
I think so. I hope I am.
No, that's not what I asked. I'm just asking you direct. Are you a good mom?
Yes.
Yeah. I think you are.
Thank you.
And are you also so exhausted?
Beyond.
Yeah. Other planetary exhausted, huh?
Correct.
So I'm hesitating right now because there's something I want to tell you, but I'm afraid it's going to be both comforting and really annoying.
Okay.
Are you in a place where you can be annoyed? Is that okay? And if you're not, that is say, John, just shove it and move on to the next thing, and I'm happy to do that.
I'm alone in my car.
Okay.
I'll be okay. Yeah.
You're not crazy. You're totally normal. Having an 8-month-old and a 2.5-year-old and struggling with sex, and I'm assuming intimacy, it's veiled language for your sex life is just gone. And a husband that's stumbling around, not knowing where he fits in this new picture, and you trying to carry the weight of everything. And you're at the point where I can't carry it anymore. I want you to know that's totally normal. You're not nuts. You didn't fail anything. You're not crazy. You're not bad. You're not doing a bad job. This is the part of the story that nobody tells you.
Right.
Okay. And I know that doesn't make it feel any better because you still want to connect with your husband and you still miss him and you still want to feel like you're actually like successful at something, for God's sakes. And I get that. And so I know it's annoying when I tell you that, but the other, I want you just to relax in, you're not crazy. You're not doing a bad job. Okay?
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. As comfortable as you are to talk about it, and my wife tells me I'm real awkward because I just got to jump into these things all over with people at my dinner table and beyond. Tell me about how your sex life used to be and how it is now.
I'll be honest. It's at the very beginning, it was, hot and heavy like most relationships are. As time began to move on, it started to taper off a little bit. My husband is the first stable, safe romantic relationship that I've ever had in my entire life. So towards the beginning, maybe about a year in, is kind of when, as I mentioned, things started to taper off. I feel like I began to kind of push him away because I was so scared of the kindness, the lack of chaos. I was kind of trying to create it, if that makes sense. We were able to move forward and, try to rebuild from there and continue working on our sex and different things in our relationship. 4 years ago, we got married. We've been together for a total of 9 years, married again for 4. That was the height of COVID. Of course, we had a very small, 10-person allowed ceremony. And then the next year, 2021, is when I became pregnant with our first. During that time, I think it was very unique on the curtails of the pandemic, being pregnant. It was kind of scary. Scared, but excited for this new chapter that would come about in our relationship. During that pregnancy, I was very uncomfortable. I gained a lot of weight, so the intimacy during the pregnancy definitely started to taper, and it kind of began to slowly spiral from then. And now we're in 2024. We welcomed our second child late fall of last year, and it got to the point where we kind of forgot or couldn't even name the last time that we had been intimate. What perpetuated this call particularly is everything kind of came to a head a couple months back when I returned to work after my maternity leave. Both births of both of my children were incredibly traumatic, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. Our second child was actually born premature, so she had a 32-day NICU stay, that's a whole different conversation for a different day. I was returning back to work a couple months ago, and my husband and I were fighting, and it kind of got to the point where he threw around the C word. It feels like we're just co-parents. We don't even have sex anymore. A lot of things were said out of anger, but I could tell with my husband's personality that they were things that he shoved so far down that were just kind of starting to bubble up. And that's when we kind of, as you say, turned the music off, turned the lights on, and said, we are like 6 inches away from each other, but miles away. What happened? And we've kind of been trying to push forward from there, but it kind of feels like our feet are in quicksand and we're still very, very disconnected.
Yeah. Man. One thing is, I'm glad the C word was co-parent. When you said
Yes.
he used the C word, I was like, wait, what? What does he do? Okay, so you're co-parents. Okay. Phew.
Yeah.
Here's what I want you to go back and listen to how you just explained that. Because you have painted a picture where basically for 10 years, every part of the intimacy problems, every part of your sex life problems has been your fault. You pushed him away, you gained weight, you had never had a steady boyfriend, you did this, you did this, you did this, you did this. And what I promise you is this challenge, this place y'all find yourself, which is very common for people with 2 young kids, 2 years and younger, to not be having sex, to not even know what day it is, right? Because they're still operating on old operating instructions with a whole new chaotic new world. This problem is co-created. Y'all created it together. And you may not have thought that or have thought through it because you've been looking at what can you do? What can you do? How can I fix this? How can I fix this? But as you mentioned, he stuffed stuff down for 10 years, right?
Yeah.
And so both of you have just slowly found your way here. The good news is, if y'all want to, and y'all work together, you can co-create your way into something totally magical and amazing and full of other problems too. Nothing's perfect, but you can co-create your way out of this. But it's going to take both of you. It's going to take both of you. I want to go back to this story you tell yourself, which is, I've only had one boyfriend that was safe my whole life. And so any issues in this relationship are my fault. Tell me more about that.
I didn't really date around before meeting my husband. I had a total of 3 relationships and romantic relationships in my entire life. My first relationship, I thought things were really great, and I was very young, and I was not in a place where I wanted to have sex or, pursue that side of the romantic relationship at the age that I was. And
I don't care what age you are. You don't ever have to pursue sex if you don't want to.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he felt differently, and I was date raped. He had slipped something while we were out.
Oh, God,
And
I'm so sorry.
yeah. And that was kind of his way of getting what he wanted from that relationship. And it got to the point where enough was enough, and I ended things. And ironically enough, after I had broken up with him, I began talking with my now husband. And I was so afraid of the lack of chaos and craziness that was going on, I ghosted him. And
Hey, Brittany,
I entered
Brittany. You were drugged and raped.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Intimacy and sex for you with somebody you trusted and somebody you told your values up front. This is where I feel comfortable with physically and intimately right now. Your body's put a pin in that as a moment of violence, as a moment of protection. So moments of intimacy for you are terrifying, aren't they?
Incredibly.
Yeah. Scary.
Yeah.
And the one thing that you want more than anything is to be free and wild and rocking on till the break of dawn. And that's the one thing your body won't let you have because it was stolen from you.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, man.
It still hurts so much.
I know it does. I know. And I don't want to paint a picture with a broad brush. I'm just piecing together the story you told me. My guess is you pushed away, and then things got hot and heavy in the next relationship because that was your way of reclaiming it.
In the next, it did start off hot and heavy, and then it quickly became physically abusive.
God.
I was getting beat on a day-to-day basis, going to school with bruises, and it took a long time to get out of that relationship too.
Yeah, man. So then this guy comes along, and he's finally safe, and he's finally a good guy.
Yes, very good, very kind. He was the first person to say, "Hey, I would like to take you out.
Yeah.
Would you like to go have dinner with me?" I had never been asked that before. It was always kind of the feeling of, oh, what can they get from me? He was the first person to want to celebrate me, in a sense, to honor me, to just go break bread with me, talk about dreams and aspirations, and
to build a life with.
yes.
Yeah. So here's your challenge right now. I'm going to put aside here, and I need to say this before we can move on. I really want you to get off this call and call somebody in Denver that you can start talking to, because I want you to heal from what happened. Okay?
Yeah.
If you haven't talked to anybody, now's the time. If you have talked to somebody, it's still really fresh right there. Do you have daughters?
Yes.
Okay. This narrative's going to haunt your body as they get older.
It's already starting to.
I know. I want you to go talk to somebody, okay?
Okay.
It's not because you're weak. It's not because you're broken. It's not because something's wrong with you. It's because your nervous system said, I'm going to be damned if this ever happens to you again. And we're going to fight. We're going to push people away. We're going to scream. We're not going to sleep all night. We're going to stay awake. And we're going to do whatever we got to do to make sure that never happens again, because I trusted that guy. And I trusted the next guy. Okay? So that's off to the side here, but that's foundational to you moving forward and healing yourself, healing your role as a mom, and healing your marriage, okay?
Okay.
And I know it's a big responsibility, but I'm putting it at your feet because nobody else can get that kind of healing but you. And you have to decide I'm worth that kind of healing. And I'm telling you, I don't lie on the show. I'm telling you right now, you're worth that, okay?
Okay.
All right, here's the beautiful thing about the picture you painted after all that stuff happened. That man, your husband, is still in there. And here's a couple of weird paradoxes that I'm going to lay in front of you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You probably heard me say this, but I want you to hear me say it in your particular home. You work so hard when you're dating, and in the first year or two of like being married, you work so hard establishing safety. Like the romance, the desire, that's everywhere, right? It's all over the place. You don't have to practice that kind of stuff. It's just everything's like, I just want to make out all the time. I want to be together all the time. I want to hold his hand all the time. But I'm practicing. Is he going to be a guy that hits me? Is he going to be a guy that drugs me? Is he going to be a guy that answers the phone when I text him or call? And so you're practicing safety. And just like you described it, after a year or so, when safety is established, it's a weird paradox where for many people, safety and that rambunctious romance, right? That flirting, that desire, that I just want to be with him. I just want to be with him. It wanes, right? The body exhales. And so in that weird way, after you've practiced safety for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, y'all dated for 5 years before you got married. Now we have a choice. Just like you said, he wants to get to know you. He wants to break bread with you. Those same principles are going to apply now. Because the challenge you're running into is you keep trying to get back to your first 2 years that y'all were together, and those years are over. Now you got 2 wild kids, right? And a job and responsibilities, and you're back at work too, and you got financial stress. You got all this stuff going on. And so the question is, where can I find release Where can I find adventure? Where can I find joy? Where can I find I can't wait until anticipation in sex and connection and intimacy? What has to be true for that world to reemerge? Have you ever sat down and said, I really love the following 3 to 5, 7 things? Like these things really feel good to me?
No.
Okay.
I don't even think my body has allowed me to get there.
Okay.
I feel like I've just been stuck in freeze,
Okay.
fight or freeze, you know?
Yeah.
Just a log.
And tell me if this rings true with you. When you know that your husband needs sex, the man you love needs sex, you're a trooper, you love him, but needs go on a chore list. You need to get diapers, you need to make sure the kids' bottles are warmed up, and you need to make sure he has sex. So you put that on your chore list.
Yep.
And eventually you get tired, and some things have to fall off the chore list. I can't take the trash out tonight, I'm too tired. I'm not I'm not washing the whatever tonight, I'm tired. We're not having sex, I'm tired.
Yes.
Needs are very different than wants. I want you to, when we get off this call and after you make a call, the call to a counselor, because I want you to meet with a therapist, okay? But I want you to pick up Emily Nagotsky's masterpiece called Come As You Are.
Okay.
And it's a book that probably you and your husband should read together, and it will be very challenging for you, okay? But it is a masterpiece in teaching a woman to walk through this crazy question that for some reason nobody ever teaches and nobody ever talks about when it comes to sex and sexuality for a woman is, what do you like? Like, what are you into? And most women are like, I never even asked that question. I never even thought about that question. Or you catch glimpses of it. Or I've heard sex referred to, well, it's just like a big hug. And I just want to say, like, no, there's so, like, and when I say hug, like, there's a safety and there's an intimacy and it just feels nice. But I want to say, like, no, there's so much more. There can be so much more. But as you begin to ask, like, what do I actually like? What do I actually want? What am I actually into? Then he gets to say, not, I need some sex, or like, he gets to say, here's what I want. You want to try this? What if how about, and now we're getting the anticipation, the adventure, the heart rate gets up, the yeesh, okay, right?
Yeah.
And now you're having a connected moment. And by the way, sex is going to be less frequent with 2 kids under like 2.5, especially after 2 traumatic births, especially as you're healing from some pretty significant sexual abuse and physical abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And he loves you. And he said, till death do us part. So he's going to be with you during the healing process. And some days y'all are going to start sex and it's going to be hot and heavy, and then your body's going to shut you off. And he's not going to be excited about it, but he's going to be right there with you. And all we're going to do is begin to step into, okay, the marriage we had is over. What are we going to build now? And do you see how that question asked that way takes all the pressure off? All that stuck in mud stuff. It's like, yeah, we're done driving this car. It's in the mud. We're not going to get out. We're going to have to walk through the mud for a bit, but we're going to get in that car over there. It's on the road. And we get to decide where we drive next. How does that sound?
It sounds a little scary.
What's scary about it?
I guess just something that I heard you say a few moments ago was, the first 2 years of our relationship are over, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I feel like my husband still kind of goes back to that. And he said, in the past, I just wish we could go back to how things were, how things used to be. So to me, it feels scary to kind of put it all on the table.
It is. It's terrifying.
Because what if he just wants what it used to be? What if deep down it's just he's here because we're married and there's a lot of logistics that go with that? What if he doesn't want something new?
What if he does?
Yeah.
What if he does? What if he loves you so much and he doesn't know how to reach you? And what if the idea of, I'll just say it direct because this is this show, right? We can say whatever we want on the show. Many guys struggle with the idea of having sex with a mom. It's a role shift.
Mm-hmm.
Same as many guys sometimes have trouble having sex with their wife, with the label, right? It's just different. Because wives are like this and moms are like this. And it's just different, right?
Yeah.
And what if he misses you so bad and the only time he's seen you smile, because you've had 2 traumatic pregnancies, you've had all this abuse, but he remembers a moment when you were smiling. And you think it's about some kind of sex act, you think it's about some kind of partying you used to do. Maybe he just misses you. And he, in his clumsy, just being a dad, going to work kind of way, doesn't have the language to say, I miss when you used to just light up like a light bulb. Let's do that. And the challenge for you is not to create stories about the things he says, but let me just say it this way. There is no other path forward other than to put everything on the table. Say, you and I will never be who we used to be. And thank God, because we're different now. And we have these 2 amazing angels in our home. And also, we get to be whatever we want moving forward. What do we want that to be? And you can say things like, I want to learn to really love sex. I want to love it. And part of me loving that is I'm going to have to say, I need some help with some things because sex for you might start at noon, way outside the bedroom, right? And sex may start with you feeling supported and loved and him helping out with diapers and with this and helping out with cleaning up throw up. And it might help with bathing the kids. And it might help with some financial security. Like, who knows? I don't know. I'm just spitballing things. But you can say out loud, I want to learn. That's my adventure. I want to learn to love sex. And what an awesome thing to practice learning to love, right?
Yeah.
And I'm confident that he wants to continue to love, to learn it too. And he doesn't want to be a chore either. He just doesn't have another picture. And you are right to be scared about what comes next. Because you trusted somebody and they took everything from you. And then you trusted somebody else and they physically hurt you. Both of them physically hurt you. So your body's instinct to protect you from these things is right and it's good. And the vulnerability to move next and build something new is right and good also. Terrifying, scary. Whew. And so in order of importance here is I want you to call a therapist today and I want you to get in as soon as possible. And I want y'all to figure out the money part of it. And I know everybody's struggling right now. This is really important because that sits really close to the top for you. That's still right at the tip top of your heart. It's right at the tip top of your nervous system. And I want you to get in there ASAP. I also want you to sit down with your husband and say, I love you. You're the safest, most stable person I've ever been. I'm terrified of losing you. And also, we have 2 little kids and we just have a new life and we got to figure out how to do this. And if he wants to call on the show, I'd love to talk to him because he sounds like he's a great guy. He's just stuck and he's just spinning in his wheels. Sounds like he's an amazing man trying to figure it out. Whew. And I want y'all to order that book, Emily Nagotsky's Come As You Are. We'll link to it in the show notes. And read it together. And y'all can have some deep discussions y'all have never had before. And you'll end up in tears in some places. And you'll end up laughing in some places. And you'll end up in some really intimate conversations. And some of it will be good. Some of it will be stuff you got to talk to your therapist about. And some of it will be amazing. Some of it will be, all right, it's cool. Let's move on. And then you can start being honest about saying things like, I really want to love sex. And I really want to love connection. I really want to love intimacy. And so we're both going to take like crooked, wobbly steps forward into what this new world's going to be like. And by the way, somebody's got to go get the kid, right? Because the kid's crying. Whew. thank you so much for your bravery, Brittany, and thank you so much for being a blessing to so many people. Look, courage looks like, this is what bravery looks like. And I cannot wait to see what your healing journey looks like, and I can't wait to see what you and your husband decide to build and create next. Tell him to give me a call anytime. You call me back anytime. I'll walk with you all the way. Hang on the line. I'm going to hook you up with a copy of Own Your Past, Change Your Future. I want you to read that book, and after you read Emily's book. Thank you so much, Brittany. We'll be right back. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. All right, I'm not going to lie. Right now, I'm struggling. I keep seeing everyone's vacation photos and their kids winning these trophies and the fish that they're catching, and I'm stuck here in this studio working and working and working. And we've all heard that comparison is the thief of joy. Here's the deal. Comparison is wired into us. We're social creatures, and we're designed to look around and make sure we're fitting in. But when we get caught up wishing we were living someone else's lives and we become dissatisfied with our own lives, it can cause us to doubt, to feel like we're not enough, and ultimately to begin acting and thinking in ways we would never act or think because we're just trying to keep up. And when we start comparing our real lives with other people's imaginary curated lives, that comparison can become addicting and all-encompassing. Comparison can take our joy, our light, our laughter, our vitality. It can take everything. And I know this because sometimes it still happens to me. And when it all gets to be too much, it may be time to call in the team at BetterHelp. BetterHelp is 100% online therapy staffed with licensed therapists, and it's convenient and it's suited to fit your schedule. And with a good therapist, you can learn positive coping skills and learn how to set boundaries, learn how to become the best version of yourself, and learn to stop the comparison trap and begin finding joy and peace in your own life. And by the way, therapy isn't for those who've just experienced major trauma. It's for all of us who are ready to get out of the comparison spin cycle and find our own peace and our own joy in the life we are creating. Stop comparing and start focusing with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/Delony today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Delony. All right, let's go out to Hunter in McKinney, Texas. Hey, Hunter, what's going on, brother?
How you doing, doctor?
Doing all right, my man. What's up with you?
Oh, wow. I didn't think I was going to be nervous doing this, but I'm actually a little more nervous than I thought. I'm going to try to give you some context to understand this question.
Okay.
I want you to picture 4 guys that grew up elementary, junior high, high school, and then even parts of college together.
That's my gang. I got that exact gang in my life.
Yeah, and there was even some more on the periphery.
Yep.
But that was a pretty tight group.
Yes, sir.
And I want you to imagine one of these guys kind of falls off the radar a little bit, has some things happen in his life, finds himself living under a bridge in Dallas, Texas. Now, we're talking about guys that grew up in an upper middle class neighborhood. Parents all had good jobs. No excuses for anything like this. Not even drugs or alcohol involved. The real issue is the guy's been getting catfished to the tune of over $400,000. And 3 of these friends that are his friends have been trying everything in the world we can think of to make him see it, and he will not see it. And I originally called you to ask you, what do we do to help him? But the more I think about it, we kind of need some help too. Yeah. We have all been dealing with this because I don't know. I mean, we've done everything we can. We're at our wits' end.
Yeah. I think one of the hardest things a person can experience is watching somebody they love refuse to take their help as they slowly dismantle their lives with choices.
Yes, sir.
And you're losing a brother, and you know it. You've lost a brother.
Yeah.
And then when you lose a brother like that, as hard as you've been trying, you lose a brother and you lose confidence in yourself because you have this picture painted of these 4 Texas guys of we would never leave each other. We ride or die no matter what. And then you find yourself in this situation.
Exactly. I think you just said something that may have hit a little closer to home. We're suffering because we had a picture, and we can't. We're failing. We can't.
You're not, Hunter. You're not. You can't
Yeah.
talk like that. You're not. You didn't fail them. The problem with the relationship is it has to go two ways. Love has to go two ways. Brotherhood has to go two ways.
We just let him live under that bridge.
What's your alternative? You're going to go beat him up and kidnap him? He'll have you arrested and put in jail.
Yeah, we drag him up out of there every week or so and put him in a hotel that's walking distance. We've got his telephone away. We got his phone away from him. We got his chime card away from him because that's how he was giving the money away. And he's convinced that there's $500 million waiting for him if he can just get the right combination of helping them with the next problem. He thinks it's girls that he's working towards, and it's some guy in Africa probably.
Is he schizophrenic?
No.
How do you know?
No.
How do you know?
Well, okay, from a clinical offering, no, we don't know.
Okay.
Has he always been a little more difficult than the others? Yeah, but 57 years, doctor. We know what right looks like, and he ain't that far off.
How far? I think you're so close to it you can't see it.
Okay, that's possible.
Y'all are so close to it, and you love him so deeply, and y'all have you have a picture of all these adventures y'all used to go on. You know that guy. You know the guy you went to college with. You know the guy that y'all played high school ball with. You know the guy that y'all dated girls together. Y'all know the guy y'all got in fistfights together and played music together. You know all that guy, and that's not the guy that's sitting under the bridge.
True that.
And one of the most disturbing, challenging things as we get older is you get to be 40, you get to be 50, you get to be 60, and you find out, whoa, you hit your wife? What? Right? You didn't know that was possible. I thought I knew that guy. You owe what in gambling losses, right? And you thought knew somebody. This happens it happens in our churches. It happens in our friendships. It happens at work. And so my challenge to you is this: maybe he is just clear-eyed as a West Texas sunset, and he just believes that this woman loves him, and she's got $500 million for him. I'd be willing to bet he's suffering from some sort of pretty significant psychiatric disorder, or he's been using drugs in a way that y'all had no idea.
I don't think it's the latter. I think it's the former.
Okay.
I really do. I mean, it's the former.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. Let me tell you this though. There's a lot of pride wrapped up in we would know. We would know. And I've sat with people who were abused by someone in their family, and yes, there is shock and awe and horror at the abuse, but often the unwinding is, how did I not see that? And it's easier. The reason abuse often goes unspoken for so long is people can't, I would know if I saw it. And I'm just telling you that for this. I'm not trying to put anything into the universe that's not there. I'm just telling you, you have, over the years, you love this man so much, and you love the idea of the brotherhood so much. You're squeezing every variable so tightly that, man, if it happened to be that he was doing drugs, that would unwind your picture of yourself and these guys so much that I can't even live in that reality. So I'm just going to stay here. You get what I'm saying?
No, I do.
And so I think go ahead.
We'll leave room for that. Yeah, we'll leave room for that. We really will. But at this point, I need somebody to tell me what to do next.
You got to walk.
We walk.
You got to walk away.
That's what we've done.
Because here's the deal. He has looked at you, a man that you love, and said, I do not want your help, and I do not want your love, and I do not want your care, and I do not want your money.
Okay. Just needed to hear somebody say it.
And I need you and your boys to get together and pray for him. I need you and your guys to get together and make him a card that says, when you're ready, here's the number. We'll be there. And even if y'all want to feel like you're doing something and y'all set up a checking account somewhere that everybody puts $50 in a month just to say that we're doing something, so that if he ever decides I need help, there's some money right there.
Good idea.
But that'll give you something to do with that energy, right? And if y'all want to go be an angel and drop food off to him and stuff like that, y'all can do that. And whew, man, I wish this wasn't as close to home to me as man. Yeah. I was telling you, like, at some point you have to say, I loved as best as I could, and at some point I'm trying to fix him. I'm trying to use him to make me feel better about this situation.
You're right. That's it. That's right down the middle. Right down the middle.
And he doesn't deserve that in a weird, backwards kind of way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. Anytime.
Hey, will you tell me, like, how's that landed on you? Don't be a Texas male on me, like, just yet. Like, how's that landed on you?
It's kind of landing right in the rib cage, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got to let it go. I mean, you grew up in Texas. I know Texas guys. We don't just give up when the first rock lands. We keep swinging at it.
That's right. And
especially if you're a Red Raider.
Guns up. That's right. That's right. And I think there's honor in that. And I think there's honor in loving somebody enough. And maybe you do a well check. Maybe you call the authorities. And I'm sure y'all have checked out all the local programs there. But
yeah, we got him into one. And he checked himself out.
Yeah. And so I think you and your other two buddies, your other two brothers, I think y'all put your heads together, put your arms around each other, and you make a commitment to each other that we're going to continue to love each other, and that when he calls, we'll all be ready, and we're going to hold each other accountable. But y'all going to have to do something that Texas men don't do very well. No man does it very well, and that's grieve. Realize there is a limit to your power over the world.
Yeah.
And Texas men are, especially, that's in the water, is y'all can do anything, right? I know, because that's where I was raised. And there's a terror, there's a fear when you get to the end and you go, oh, I couldn't fix that.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking, sad. Maybe an exercise for all three of you would be to write him a letter. You're not going to send him till he comes up, till his eyes clear up. Y'all write him a letter, and that exercise of, hey brother, I'm letting you go, but I'm gonna be here as soon as you're ready. But I want you to get that's in your rib cage. I want you to get that out of your body onto a piece of paper.
Good idea.
Otherwise, it'll haunt you.
Really good idea.
Okay. And maybe y'all can get together and have a glass of whiskey and sit around a fire and read your letters to your brother, to each other.
Yep.
Y'all can grieve together. And let me tell you this: that man is, God, not much chokes me up. Hold on. That man is blessed beyond measure to have you as his friend.
Thank you.
He won the damn friend lottery, having you and those other two men in his life.
Thank you.
You didn't fail. You didn't quit on him. You honored his wishes, and you let him tip his hat and turn and walk away. And you'll be there the moment he turns back around.
Thank you, doctor.
All right, my brother. Appreciate your call, man. I know that was a hard call to make, and I'm grateful for you. And everybody else out there who's got close friends, you don't have a lot of opportunities to make 50 or 60-year friends, 30, 40-year friends. Hang on to them tight. Love well. We'll be right back. It's time to talk about the greatest sleep innovations since the invention of the mattress. I'm talking about 8 Sleep. I'm so jazzed that 8 Sleep is partnering with the Dr. John Delony Show to take care of our listeners and change the way y'all sleep and ultimately change your marriage, change your health, and change your life. My wife and I have been sleeping on our 8 Sleep for months, and it is extraordinary. My wife likes to sleep on the surface of the sun, and I like to sleep in Antarctica. And 8 Sleep makes it possible for both of us to sleep like we need to and like we want to in the same bed. And as a side note, we don't have to run our air conditioner so low anymore because we don't have to freeze out the entire house for me to be cool in bed. So what is 8 Sleep? My friends at 8 Sleep have created a fitted sheet with cooling and heating technology embedded. It's called the 8 Sleep Pod. The pod cover can easily be added to your existing mattress like a fitted sheet for temperature-controlled adjustments down to 55 degrees and up to 110 degrees based on your environment and your body temperature throughout the night. Now listen to this. It cools down or warms up each side of the bed, and it learns what your body needs, and it starts to do this automatically. And in turn, it can improve your sleep quality like you have to experience to believe. It also has gently vibrating alarms built in to wake you up when you say so, and it provides you with sleep reports for things like REM sleep and deep sleep and HRV and sleep time and more. And if you're a data nerd like me, 8 Sleep means I don't have to wear rings and watches or armbands to bed anymore. And if that wasn't enough, the pod just got an upgrade. I've been sleeping on the 8 Sleep Pod 3, and they've just announced the newest generation of the Pod 4 Ultra. It cools, it heats, and get this, now it elevates automatically. There are so many great new features on the Pod 4 Ultra, but here's one of my favorites. And I know you're not going to believe this, but it's true. The pod can detect your snoring, and it will automatically lift your head by a few degrees to improve airflow and stop you or your partner snoring. Yes, that's right. It detects your snoring and helps you fix it while you're still asleep. You owe it to yourself and your marriage to at least check it out and learn more. Right now, stop the show and go to 8sleep.com/Delony and check it all out. Use code Delony to get $350 off the Pod 4 Ultra. Seriously, go to 8sleep.com/Delony right now. 8 Sleep will change your life, and I know this because it's changed mine. All right, let's go out to Portland, Oregon, and talk to Jenny. Hey, Jenny, what's up?
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Excellent.
Except for this situation.
I'm great. Otherwise, I wouldn't be calling you. So what's up?
Yeah. So I'm kind of struggling with an old tenant who we had living on our property. She lived with us for 3.5 years and in our guest house, and we live kind of rurally outside of town. And I gave her an eviction notice. I gave her like a 90-day eviction notice so that she could find a place to live. And she ended up eventually finding a place on like day 88. Moved in with this person, and then she started texting me messages about 2 weeks after she found this place that they were accusing her of being an alcoholic, and that's why I evicted her, and stealing, but they were trying to take her pain pills, and her texts and the arguments that she was having with this new person that she was living with just kind of escalated, and eventually she texted me about a month after that she was being evicted from that place, and now she's living in hotels, motels, and running out of money. And I know that she without asking, she wasn't asking for my help, but I know that she was asking for my help. And then she did start asking me for money and for help, and I just didn't want to. My husband and I evicted her for reasons, and I struggle with the guilt of knowing that she really has no one to turn to, but I don't want to be the person that she continues to rely on, and I don't really know what to do and if I should just keep ignoring her, which is kind of what I've done, or if I should do something to help her.
You have a great heart, and I'm grateful for landlords out there like like you that give people tons of extra grace when things get sideways. 'Cause she was late for a long time, wasn't she?
She was an alcoholic, and she was very dependent on me, and I just, it became too much. Like it got to a point where I was really angry and resentful of her in my house, or in my space. And so, that's why I had to give her notice.
Yeah. And you chose guilt over resentment. I don't want to hate you, and I don't want to hate coming to my own home.
Yeah.
And so you need to go get the help that you need. This sounds like a callous question, but it's just so rudimentary.
Yeah. No.
What is prohibiting her from going to a local organization there in Portland to get help with her addiction challenges? What's preventing her from getting a job? What's preventing her from seeking local services?
So I don't. Yeah, she is on disability. She has like some kind of back injury, but she does not have a vehicle. We had offered at one point to like help her purchase a vehicle. We would purchase an inexpensive vehicle, and she could make payments to us if that was the case. I think she gets about $1,200 on disability, and then she's on food stamps.
Okay.
She kind of thinks that she can't work. I did give her, at one point I sent her a message and was like, I can't, Jeanette, I can't help you. Here's some like the crisis help,
there you go. Yeah.
hotline. Maybe
local
they can
resources.
help you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think she thinks that she has a problem. But I'm the one who, because she didn't have a car and we literally lived 40 minutes outside of town with no services between us. There's no gas station. There's no grocery store or anything. So she was very dependent on me. I picked up she would order, groceries from Walmart, and I would pick them up for her. And I would pick up her 2 cases of wine every 2 weeks. And I would go to the liquor store for her. And
Jenny, you participated then. You played along.
Yes, I did. And then I got to the point where I thought, well, I was judging her definitely, and that,
as you're picking it up from the store.
Yes. And I think too, I know that I have guilt about it too, because she, I tried to take her into my community, our neighbors and family and friends, and she would come over for, my kids' birthdays, and she would come over on Christmas because she lived in in our little guest house, and I just became done with her. And I mean, I lied to her about why she needed to move out. I told her that my mother-in-law was going to be spending more time up there and, needed the guest house. But that's partly because eviction laws in Oregon are very, very strict. They're very lenient to the tenant. And that was an easy out. And it's semi-partially true, but not fully.
I at the end of the day, what I don't want you to do is to begin to slippery slope some of these things, like buy alcohol for somebody is struggling with alcohol, to make trips for somebody that you're just angry the whole way you're making the trip. Invite somebody into your family's life that is going to cause issues and make you upset about the whole event. And then at the end of the day, end up lying about why I'm kicking you out. I don't want you to become somebody that you lose respect for.
Right.
In the process of not just trying to avoid a few really hard conversations. Because what happens is that loss of respect you have for yourself gets channeled and dropped onto her, and that's not really fair.
Right.
She's hurting, she's struggling, she needs more help than you're able to provide her, both cognitively, physically, physiologically. She needs some help, and it's beyond your scope of ability to help. And but all the other animosity and hatred and frustration and just all that stuff, not hatred, that was probably strong, but all that stuff is it's you trying to avoid having a few really direct, hard conversations with somebody that probably admittedly can't hear those conversations.
Yes.
So in many ways, she's more than a tenant, because in many ways you function as a caretaker.
Right.
And you also, man, kind of went past the caretaker role and invited it into Christmas, into family, into friends events and things, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, very
So
much.
I'm saying this with no context for how she can hear things, okay? I'm assuming she can hear stuff. She is just a person struggling with her disability. She's struggling with some sort of low-level emotional disorders. She's struggling with alcohol abuse. I think that person warrants sitting down at a coffee shop, not at your house, and saying, I am telling you I can no longer help. Here is a sheet where I've printed off all the resources. I'm going to block your number, and I am going to hope that you go get the help and care that you need. It's exceeded my ability to help you.
Okay.
And that might be a terribly hard conversation to have. And I have a firm principle on my own that I don't say things to people who can't hear them. So if she can't hear it, if she'll just blow right by it and be like, hey, so what time are you coming to pick me up for? Then maybe not responding is the correct path, or calling local services and asking them to do a well check on her is the local path.
Right.
But I that's going to be for you to gauge and judge. But all that to say is, you don't owe a former tenant continued support and services indefinitely. And I don't know that it's honest to call her just a tenant, because you invited her into much more of your life than just a tenant.
Yeah. Yeah.
How does that sit
Definitely.
with you?
No, I agree with that, and I think I know that's where I kind of struggle, because I've come to the realization that, she saw me as a friend and somebody, that she could, rely on, and I blurred that line with that, and I think and I personally don't think that she is really open to hearing anything. I mean, she is very much a victim mentality of that. But
then, if that's the case, if that's the case, if that's the lens with which she sees the world, then you already know going into this that her opinion of you has already been shaped. You are another in a long line of people who have victimized her. So you avoiding that victim judgment that she stamps on the world, I mean, why would you avoid that? It's already happened.
Right.
And so enter into the conversation, enter into whatever your next move is with your head held high, and be a person of integrity and treat her with dignity and respect. And treating somebody with dignity and respect doesn't mean that you have to support them indefinitely, forever, amen. It means you have to know the scope of your limits. I can't do anymore. I'm unable to do anymore. I don't want to do anymore. I gave you 3 years, and this is as much as I can do, right? But you have to make that call for yourself. For whatever reason, I take this for what it is. I have just a thing in my guts, like in my chest, that handing her a list of resources to say, these are some people who can actually help you with some of the challenges you have. I don't have any challenges. That's great. But I'm unable to help you any further. And so I'm asking you, don't send me any of your texts about midnight terrors. I want you to call this number, the authorities. Don't send me any more texts about somebody trying to poison you. If somebody's trying to poison you, you call 911. I can't help any other way. If somebody kicks you out, here's the local housing authority, and on and on and on. And she might not be able to hear it. Cool. You can mail that letter if that's appropriate. I don't even know if she has a mailbox address now that I said that. But I feel like you invited her in. I think letting her know I'm showing you the door now, in whatever way appropriate, whatever way she can hear that, feels like the right, honorable thing to do. And I do know that it's going to be very hard to do that. But it feels like the right thing to do, other than just ghosting somebody or just not responding. Unless, of course, that person can't can't understand a response, or a response is not heard in the way the response was intended. It's an open invitation to reignite the entire fire. So that's a sticky mess, Jenny. Thank you so much for just walking through it with me and thinking through it with me. And let's do the next right thing. And don't ever lose yourself. And this is not just for you, it's for all of us. May we never lose ourselves by trying to avoid a hard conversation or avoid a confrontation. May we never lose ourselves, our integrity, our dignity, our respect for each other and for ourselves, piece by piece by piece by piece. Thanks for the call. We'll be right back. Hey, what's up? Delony here. Listen, you and me and everybody else on the planet has felt anxious or burned out or chronically stressed at some point. In my new book, Building a Non-Anxious Life, you'll learn the 6 daily choices that you can make to get rid of your anxious feelings and be able to better respond to whatever life throws at you so you can build a more peaceful, non-anxious life. Get your copy today at johndelony.com. All right, we're back, Kelly. Who's the problem?
All right, this is from Karina. She says, I had to set a boundary with an in-law and it ended badly. This person is an extrovert and I am an introvert. Their favorite method of communication is to call, and they did this almost daily. I would rather have someone shoot me a text instead of being forced to speak over the phone if it's just a chit-chat. I let this go on for far too long because I didn't want to offend them. One day I decided to ignore the phone call and not call them back. It was brought up by them the next time that we spoke. I ended up saying that we need to find a balance because I don't like to talk over the phone constantly. They laughed it off, but literally stopped calling. It ended the confrontation, and we no longer speak or see one another. Could I have handled this better? Am I the problem?
No. Like, there's this unspoken rule that if somebody knocks on your door or somebody calls you or somebody texts you, there's like some cosmic law that you have to return it. And I just don't buy that. You are offering, here you go, like I'm offering you some information, or I'm going to sell you some cookies, or I'm reaching out to you. Like, I'm trying to connect with you. I get to choose whether I take your end of the plug and put it into, like, I get to choose that. And then if somebody, because you didn't answer the phone one time, and you go, oh yeah, I'm not a phone person. I'm a texter. They never talk to you ever again. I think you got all the answers that you need. So yeah, I think I've talked about on the show. I called my buddy who's a country music guy, and I was like, hey man, when did you change your number? And we talked through it. And I said, I get so many calls and so many texts, and I just feel this obligation. And he goes, yeah, you can change your number, or you could just be a grown-up. Not respond all the time if you don't have time or the bandwidth or the emotional capacity or whatever's going on. And I was like, oh yeah, I can do it on my own terms. So yeah, you think so?
I agree, 100%. Yep.
Well, look at that. What was her name?
Karina.
Anna Karina, what's a play?
Anna Karenina.
Well, you made that weird. It's Karina. Not all the N-N-N-N-N-N-N-N-N. That's B-A-N-A-N-A-S. Man, your look is so mean sometimes. All right, Anna Karina, you are not the problem. We have deemed whoever else, this serial caller, is the problem. Man, what a wild world we live in. Hey man, I just don't have time to talk every day, but I'll give you a buzz back when I can. I hate you. What a weird world. Wow. Whew, love you guys. Bye.